So we just got the news a few days ago that John Kasich, former governor of Ohio, is slated to speak at the Democratic National Convention on behalf of Joe Biden and endorse Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is a big deal. This is massive news, that this is, going to win over a number of Republican voters over to Joe Biden away from Donald Trump. But quite frankly, my view on this is the same view that I held when it came to Joe Rogan's endorsement of Bernie Sanders, which is that it's okay and it's good to bring over people to your side if you've persuaded them on the issues. If you've persuaded them on the issues and they've apologized for the past things that they've done, the past things that they've, I'm someone who believes in forgiveness. I really do. Some people are saying that no matter what John Kasich did or what John Kasich ever does going forward into the future, he can't ever repent of the bad things that he did. And no doubt he did bad things, and it's always important to bring those things up in terms of his record. But if John Kasich was repenting and saying that, what I did in the past was wrong, and now I'm going to be fighting for these new policies, new issues moving forward. Maybe I'm not for Medicare for all, but now I'm for, a public option. I'm now in favor of these other things, and these are the things that I'm sort of bringing to the table to show you that on policy issues, when it comes to substance, I am not a Republican anymore. I don't believe in invading any other countries anymore. I don't believe in bombing Syria anymore. If John Kasich came out and said those things and then had subsequent actions to follow up with that, I'd be like, all right, we're having a conversation. But that's not what happened. What's happening here is John Kasich doesn't like some of the things that Donald Trump is doing, but then still believes in all the same policies that he did to obstruct Democrats as governor when he had actual power, when he was oppressing gay people, oppressing workers. He believes in all those things, but he doesn't like some of the mean tweets. He doesn't like some of the incompetence that Donald Trump clearly has. Those are the things that John Kasich is mad at, but he's not upset when it comes to policies. When it comes to policies, he's still in favor of all the Republican talking points that he was in favor of in the past. So this isn't an issue of winning hearts. This isn't an issue of winning minds. And I do want to, bring this up here because one article that just came out, actually, this article just came out like less than an hour ago, I think. It came out here, at least as of recording, it came out here at 4:30 earlier today. And it's basically lamenting the fact and basically criticizing the left for being upset over this John Kasich thing, saying that, like, this is just so petty, that, it's always good to win people over to your other side. But that's the point. You didn't win John Kasich. The Republican Party moved. And then now this is a question of whether or not we're going to bring in warmongers into the party. That's what this is a question of. And I do agree that in many respects this is symbolism, right? Like, I agree in many respects this is symbolism. I don't necessarily think that by John Kasich specifically speaking at the Democratic Convention that suddenly Democrats are going to move right. That's not my argument. But it is symbolic, and it is symbolism for who Joe Biden wants to be. It's symbolism for the things that Joe Biden most accurately represents. And look, I've said it on this channel before. I believe that defeating Donald Trump is incredibly important, but it has to be done in a principled way. It can't be done by doing sly politics that got us into this mess in the first place. Because, there's generally two formulations of what it means to play hardball. I read in my comments all the time this sentiment that progressives need to play hardball or that Democrats need to play hardball. But there's at least two ways in which we could formulate what it means to play hardball. And I sometimes see these ideas being mixed up in the comments or on Twitter or just, various places online. And on one hand, what it means to play hardball is this idea of, the Ted Cruz of the world, that you're going to be a bit slimy, that you're going to be a bit sneaky, and you're going to, trick the other side and win votes that way, right? That you're going to trick them and then you're going to win, right? That's one formulation of what it means to play hardball. On the other hand, there's another idea of playing hardball, and this idea means I'm going to stick to my guns and I'm going to believe in what I believe in. And if you don't like it, fine, whatever, you're off the boat. But if you do like it, come on, you're welcome in. If you want the things that I already want, that I already believe in. And that's not what Joe Biden's doing right now. They've said, Republican Party, you've moved. Republican Party, you've gone off the rail. And so now we're going to bring in those other people who would have been Republicans anyway. But what that means, of course, is that there's entrenched interest in protecting that group and making sure that that group who, still believes the things that they believed when they were in the Republican Party, that group then has to be protected by the Democratic Party. Why? It's actually really simple, because if you're picking up House seats where the districts, the values of the voters themselves hasn't actually changed, then what that means is that those people representing those districts, if they're just going to be centrist and that's how they won, even if they're Democrat, then that means that now the Democratic establishment, the Chuck Schumers, Nancy Pelosi's, whose job it is to protect those seats, then their interest then is in protecting those seats that are now further right than the party was initially. So again, I agree that this particular act, when it comes to John Kasich, is symbolism. I agree. Like, I don't think that John Kasich getting up and speaking is going to suddenly make a whole bunch of Democrats move right. I don't believe that, right? Like, I don't think that. But it is symbolic. It is symbolism for the fact that the Democratic Party has been eagerly trying to court, eagerly trying to move forward and get these Republican voters in light of Donald Trump's incompetence. They're more interested in winning votes than they are in winning hearts and minds. Because again, this isn't an issue of, well, you've persuaded John Kasich over to your side. This is an issue of Donald Trump repulsed John Kasich, and so John Kasich said, well, I guess I'm going over to Joe Biden. I guess I'm going over there. But again, what that means is if you have open arms to those kinds of people, you develop entrenched interest to protect the people who have those beliefs, which I believe that you should be rejecting. So we've got to be careful with this stuff, guys. We've got to be careful because, again, I believe in forgiveness. I really, really do. And you can get mad at me for that. I've gotten criticism for that in the past. Whatever. I don't particularly care. I believe in forgiveness. I believe that people can change their minds, and I believe that people can change. But that's not what this is about. That's not what this debate is about today. That's not what we're talking about today. Today, we're talking about an issue of Joe Biden being more interested in courting over Republicans than he is about courting over progressives. Because again, we're still having this debate, and I talked about it before in a previous video, but we're still having a debate right now about progressives having their interests, having their voices be heard in the convention. We're not even sure which progressives are going to be speaking at the convention. We're not even sure. You know, last time Nina Turner was rejected from being able to speak at the DNC convention. They didn't let her do it. We're still waiting to see whether or not she'll be speaking this time around, but so far I haven't heard anything saying that she will be. I'd like to see that. And I'd like to see other powerful progressive voices speaking, but that's not what we're seeing so far. Right now, what we're seeing from Joe Biden is a bigger eagerness to bring over Republicans than to bring in progressives. And I think that's what we need to do if we want to move forward. And you know, there's this idea in political science known as triangulation. What's triangulation? Triangulation is this idea that you can win, that you can transcend the divides of left and right by, moving to the center, right? So it's a triangle, right? So in the center, you're at the top and it's an equilateral, I guess, triangle, right? Ooh, Illuminati, right? That this is this idea of triangulation, that by moving to the center, you sort of insulate yourself from criticism by adopting the policies of the other side. You're then more easily able to win votes. And look, triangulation might work in particular races as a particular micro tactic, but it's always bad strategy because at the end of the day, the incentive of the other side then is always just to move right. Because if you're moving right to get them, then their incentive is just to move right. Their incentive is just to move right, and then we end up in a game of cat and mouse where we're constantly just running right as a country because the Democrats were more interested in winning votes than in winning hearts and minds. And that's what I see in John Kasich, and it's symbolic of who the Democratic Party is more interested in winning, and I don't see it is good. I think that it's really, really bad for the long-term structure of this party. So this is a question about the future of the Democratic Party. It's not just a question of do we or don't we forgive John Kasich for some bad things that he did in the past, right? That's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. This is about the future of the Democratic Party. So that's just my opinion about it. You can let me know what you think about it down in the comment section below. But if you did like this video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thanks.